Hakeem Olufemi Gbajabiamila. God bless you all. Basically, submission of the 2022 appropriation amendment proposal.
Lawmakers begin legislative proceedings on supplementary budget.
The essence of today's gathering is to elucidate the current fuel scarcity.
And House launches investigations into adulterated fuel and unclaimed federal government funds in commercial banks. Welcome to this episode of House Ticket. I am Rashida Abubakar, your anchor. Our program has a lineup of bills, motions, and presentation of reports by lawmakers during plenary. Some of the issues include incessant killings by officers of the Nigeria Customs Service, the reactivation of the NTA Channel in Ibom State, an amendment of the Criminal Code, to mention a few. And from the committee rooms, stakeholders in the banking and petroleum sector answered questions during investigations into matters of public importance. Details when House Ticket takes off fully. Do stay tuned.
If we set our minds right, embrace each other in love and brotherhood, we will come through these troubling times. We will survive, we will recover, and then we will thrive. One nation under God, free, peaceful, and prosperous.
In this first segment of the program, we shall take deliberations on bills and motions in the Green Chamber. One major event that happened was the test running of the electronic voting machines that will be deployed for deciding on bills or motions, even as the House urged the Independent National Electoral Commission to deploy all machinery towards conducting new voter registration across all federal constituencies. Details of this and more in our review of plenary activities for Tuesday 15 to Thursday 17th, February 2022. Keep watching.
The House commenced proceedings on Tuesday, the 15th of February 2022, with the Speaker, Representative Femi Gbajabiamila, reading two letters communicated to the House by President Muhammadu Buhari. First is the letter for the amendment of the 2022 budget to take care of the subsidy funds.
Communication from Mr. President, it's a rather long 6-page letter, but it's basically submission of the 2022 appropriation amendment proposal, which he has sent together with the proposals, and I'll refer this to the Committee on Appropriations.
The second letter presented a bill on the Board of the Civil Defense, Correctional, Immigration and Fire Services for the consideration of the House.
Dear Right Honorable Femi Gbajabiamila, pursuant to Section 58(2) of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria as amended, I forward herewith the Civil Defense, Correctional, Federal Fire and Immigration Service Board Bill 2022 for the kind consideration of the House of Representatives. The Civil Defense, Correctional, Federal Fire and Immigration Services Board Bill 2022-6 to establish the Civil Defense, Correctional, Federal Fire and Immigration Services Board to adequately reflect the current relationships between the Board, Corps, and the services, and align their composition, structure, functions, and practices to attain the intended mandate of the services, while hoping that this submission will receive the usual expeditious consideration of the House. Please accept, Right Honorable Speaker, the assurances of my highest consideration. Yours sincerely, Muhammadu Buhari.
Moving on to the order of the day, the House passed 5 bills for second reading. They include a bill for an act to establish the National Security Coordination Center in the country for all security agencies' coordination in combating acts of terrorism, including banditry, kidnappings, and for related matters.
The objectives of this bill, among others, are as follows: to ensure the coordination, formulation, and implementation of a comprehensive preemptive counterterrorism strategy and build capacity of our brave men and women in the security sector to be deployed to the field to discharge their functions.
The bill was voted on, approved for second reading, and referred to the House Committee on National Security and Intelligence. The House also considered a bill for an act to establish the Auctioneers Registration Council of Nigeria for the purpose of regulating and monitoring the business and practice of auctioneers and auctioneering in Nigeria and for related matters, standing in the name of Representative Tahir Monguno.
Many of our government properties that have outlived their usefulness is being auctioned by government to the members of the general public. And it is through the instrumentality of auctioneers that these properties are being auctioned to the members of the general public. And because of that, there is a need to regulate the practice of auctioneers in the country.
The bill was voted on, approved for second reading, and referred to the House Committee on Commerce for further legislative actions. Also passed for second reading was a bill for an act to amend the Criminal Code Act, Laws of the Federation of Nigeria 2004 and for related matters. It stands in the name of Representative Francis Ojirogene.
You know, the section currently provides for 1 year imprisonment for attempted suicide. Of course, those that fail. My bill is to amend that section in such a way that those who attempt suicide, rather than being punished, are taken for counseling, psychosocial counseling and rehabilitation.
Bill was voted on, approved for second reading, and referred to the House Committee on Justice for considerations.
Say aye. Those against this say nay. Ayes have it.
The other two bills voted and passed for second reading are a bill for an act to establish the Federal College of Agriculture, ABI, Cross River State, to provide full-time courses leading to the award of diploma, higher national diploma in agriculture and allied fields, and be responsible for the due administration of the college and for related matters, sponsored by Representative Alex Egbona, and a bill for an act to establish the Federal Orphanage Regulatory Agency to be saddled with the responsibility of coordinating and regulating all forms of children under the care of orphanage homes or centers, standing in the name of Representative James Adisa Olabi. Moving on to motions that day, Representative Kolawole Lawal moved a motion on the incessant killings by officers of the Nigerian Customs Service in Egbado South, Ipokia Federal Constituency of Ogun State.
I urge federal government to ensure that officers who were complicit and indicted in the killings are prosecuted.
The motion elicited debate in the Green Chamber.
Customs is an agency of government set up to stop smuggling activities. So it is in the process of fighting these smugglers that we do have these casualties. So I'm not saying it that people at the border need to educate their people very well for us not to be having this issue.
A special ad hoc committee be appointed to investigate the killing of these people, because from the motion raised by my honorable colleague, the issue is not about smuggling, but the issue is about killing of innocent people by the Nigerian custom.
There shall be reorientation and training for custom officers.
The motion was then voted on and adopted as amended to allow an ad hoc committee to carry out the investigation.
Those in support of the motion as amended, please say aye. Those against, please say nay. Ayes have it.
There was also a motion on the urgent need to reactivate the Nigerian Television Authority NTA Channel 35 Eket, Akwa Ibom State. It was moved by Representative Francis Charles Uduyok.
The federal government commenced the building of NTA Channel 35 Eket, Akwa Ibom State in 2006, which was completed in 2008 and test run for commissioning in 2011, but was surprisingly abandoned on the eve of its commissioning, after more than 400 million was invested.
The motion was adopted and the House resolved to urge the Federal Ministry of Information and Nigerian Broadcasting Corporation and the Nigerian Television Authority to expedite action to ensure the reactivation and commencement of services at the Nigerian Television Authority, Channel 35, Eket, Akwa Ibom State, and mandate the Committee on Information, National Orientation, Ethics and Values to investigate the utilization of funds budgeted for the station from 2006 to date, as well as the delay in the commencement of activities in the station, and report back within 4 weeks for further legislative action. With the 2023 election in sight, the House, during the week under review, considered and adopted a motion calling on the Independent National Electoral Commission (INEC) to urgently deploy physical enumerators and other assistance to conduct new voters registration across all federal constituencies. Representative Abubakar Makki Yaleman moved the motion.
Mr. Speaker, the House note that the Independent National Electoral Commission (INEC) was established to, among other things, organize election in Nigeria, as well as put all necessary processes in place for the successful conduct of election in Nigeria. The House also note that the Independent National Electoral Commission (INEC) is carrying out one of its constitutional duties, has put in place the machinery for the visual continuous voters registration (CVR), which has been ongoing.
My contribution would be for INEC to actually embark on more robust awareness and advocacy.
So against this backdrop, particularly in the northeastern part of the country, and more particularly Borno State, that is the epicenter of the Boko Haram insurgency, where telecommunication facilities have been destroyed, occasioned by the Boko Haram insurgency. This motion is apt and germane, and I support this motion in its entirety.
Mr. Speaker, in all the constituencies and units, they lack the laptops and materials to even effect the registration. So many people are unable to register because they don't even have what they need. Sometimes you get to a local government INEC office, they may have just 1 or 2 laptops to take care of maybe up to 250 units, and they are not able to do this.
The House, in conclusion, resolved to urge the Independent National Electoral Commission to take immediate steps to conduct physical registration throughout the Federation, mandate the Committee on Electoral Matters to ensure compliance. A motion was also moved for the committal of clauses 20, 24 subsection 2 and 25 subsection 2 of the National Health Insurance Act, Repeal and Reenactment Bill 2021. Representative Abubakar Hassan Fulata moved the motion.
House notes the National Health Insurance Act, Repeal and Enactment Bill 2021 was passed by the National Assembly and transmitted to the President for assent. Aware that upon a critical examination of the bill by the President, some fundamental issues in clauses 20, 24(2) and 25(2)(c), which require fresh legislative action, were raised.
The House adopted the motion and resolved to commit the clauses in the NHIS Act to the Committee of the Whole for consideration. Still during the week under review, the House on Wednesday test-run the electronic voting machines that will be deployed for deciding on bills or motions.
We'll need to know the voting pattern of members. That's what it's all about. And the constitutional amendment is coming up for voting in a week or two, and we will need the required numbers. And it's the only way we can vote on constitutional amendment. So I'm going to put this question on this particular bill, and you have 30 seconds to punch in your vote, whether yes, no, or whether you are abstaining. Do you all have this on your screen? All right, your 30 seconds starts now. As the yes have it, 68 yes, 4 no, nobody abstained.
4 bills were passed for third reading, while 4 others scaled second reading.
Mr. Speaker, honorable members, I rise to move that a bill for an act to make comprehensive provisions for the prohibition and punishment of sexual harassment of students by educators and other persons in and out of tertiary educational institutions and for related matters HB 1006 be read the third time.
The other bills read for the third time are a bill for an act to establish the Federal Polytechnic, COCO, Delta State to provide for full and part-time courses of instructions in different fields of studies and for related matters. A bill for an act to establish the Federal Polytechnic, Orogun, Delta State to provide full and part-time courses of instruction and training in different fields of studies and for related matters. And a bill for an act to establish the Federal University of Education, ANCPA, to take over the assets and liabilities, including staff of Kogi State College of Education, ANCPA, to provide for training and teaching instruction in every aspect of education and such other fields of applied learning relevant to the needs of the development of education in Nigeria, matters of administration and discipline of students, and for related matters. Among the bills that scale second reading are a bill for an act to establish the University of Agriculture, Umeru, Anambra State to make comprehensive provisions for its due management and administration and for related matter, under the name of Representative Vincent Ofumelu, and a bill for an act to establish the Federal College of Agriculture, Tureta, Sokoto State, to provide full-time courses leading to the award of diploma, higher national diploma in agriculture and allied fields, and be responsible for the due administration of the college and for related matters, sponsored by Representative Balarabe Shehu Kakale. On motions considered that day, the House debated the need to expand the major airports across the country to accommodate the upsurge of passengers. Representative Dozie Ferdinand moved the motion.
The House notes that recently most Nigerian airports have become congested due to several factors, which include more persons choosing air travel, flight delays by airline operators, inadequate and malfunctioning X-ray machines, multiple checks for security, and COVID-19 protocols.
As part of our oversight, the Committee on Aviation visited Lagos just over the weekend. And we noticed also that since the completion of the new international terminal, they have not started using it for operations. And that's why we are experiencing this congestion, especially at the international wing.
After the contributions, the House resolved to urge the Ministry of Aviation to quickly consider expansion of major airports across the country to accommodate the upsurge in the population of air travelers. Also urged the Federal Ministry of Aviation, the Federal Airports Authority of Nigeria, FAN, and the Nigerian Airspace Management Agency, NAMA, to address all issues causing unnecessary delays and inconveniences at the major airports and ensure hitch-free flight operation across the country, and mandate the Committee on Aviation to ensure compliance. In a related motion, Representative Simon Elisha Karu moved the motion on the need to investigate the poor performance and high charges by airline operators in Nigeria.
Despite the enormous potentials of the airline industry in Nigeria, the House is also aware that Nigerians have not enjoyed domestic air travel due to constant delays and cancellations of flights with impunity.
The House resolved to mandate the Committees on Aviation and Human Rights to investigate the state of Nigerian airports, activities of airline operators and the coordinating agencies in the aviation sector and report back within 8 weeks. Meanwhile, the House during the week received petitions and reports from committees, some of which were considered at the Committee of the Whole by lawmakers.
Recommendation 3.
Thanks for staying tuned to House Ticket. Sequel to its resolution at plenary of 10th of February to investigate the current fuel scarcity in the country, the House Committee on Petroleum Downstream has launched probe into the matter. This was on Wednesday, the 16th of February 2022. Details from this hearing and orders from the committee room in our next report. Stay tuned.
We had to do away with the issue of...
If there are challenges, you can always come to the National Assembly.
We must back that effort.
If there was only 2% left, why didn't the ministry inject some money for 20?
Why transferring for the same area that they have operated there? And you expect to come and clap for you?
The GMD and...
Appearing before the committee investigating the current fuel scarcity in the country, were officials of the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited (NNPC), led by its Group Managing Director Mele Kolokiari. Representative Mahmoud Abdullahi Gaya chairs the committee. He said the hearing in process.
The essence of today's gathering is to elucidate the current fuel scarcity, which has a negative impact on the people. As well as we are all aware, fuel queues has recently caused gridlock in most of our major cities, affecting traffic movements.
Making his submission, the GMD of NNPC Limited, Mele Kyari, started by explaining petroleum import in the country.
But we import most of the petroleum products that we consume in this country and 100% of all PMS. So not a single liter of PMS is generated in this country today. That means 100% of PMS you see in this country is imported. And those imports are done on the basis of existing contractual arrangements that we have. It is called the direct sales, direct purchase process, which is simply with the best of practice to enable our suppliers to take custody of our crude oil volumes and then supply product to us on agreed terms and conditions.
Mr. Kyari said Nigeria has its specifications on importation, which are backed by regulation before any petroleum product comes into the country.
Before a vessel leaves the load port, they have to declare that those products meet our specification. So they will send it to COMD, the importer, and confirm that this is the specification you asked us to do. This product that we are bringing to you meets this specification. There are inspectors appointed by the originating depots to give you that statistic. On the basis of that, you allow sail away of the vessel. Our inspecting agents on the 20th of January, to be precise, call our attention to the fact that they are seeing a emulsification in some of the depots and that this may be a cause of concern. That is how we went ahead to check all the deliveries that are in our hands from all the 4 vessels that came in that have already discharged, and to confirm that all of them contain methanol. So what we did was to quarantine all the volumes wherever they are. In depots, those in transit in trucks, we are able to track them, that the ones that we can, the ones that didn't escape to other countries, and we're able to trace all of them and quarantine all of them. Also in the depots, that we have done exactly that. And not only that, we are also expecting several other supplies to come from other sources. So we cross-check their origin and confirm that 4 other vessels are coming from the same shipping, from the same terminal that loaded this, and we rejected all of them.
The GMD also revealed fuel consumption levels in Nigeria.
Even if all our refineries come on stream today, except the Dangote refinery comes up today, we will still be in short supply of PMS, because all the refineries that are configured today, which we are trying to fix with the best of endeavors, can only make 80 million liters of gasoline. Our consumption is certainly above 80 million liters, but evacuation from depots, and I can also confirm to you, the evacuation is not consumption. Evacuation is the quantity of products that leave our depots on daily basis. These numbers we know. I'm sure that when the chief executive of the authority comes, he will validate this, that we know all the trucks that leave our depots, but we do not know where they end up. This is reality. It is not possible. There is no tracking mechanism to enable this. And we also all know that some of these products find their ways to the places that may not be in this country.
The submission elicited comments and questions from the lawmakers.
Where do you incident this mixture of methanol with the cargo that we imported?
And you also have mentioned the fact that methanol is not, depends on the country, it's used for blending. Okay, now, since you didn't have it in your specification before, going forward, are we going to update it so that it will be a requirement?
As we speak now, we have asked all our suppliers to ensure there's zero methanol in the supplies to Nigeria.
The committee then adjourned the hearing to another day. In another development, the House Ad Hoc Committee on Unclaimed Funds in Nigerian Commercial Banks and the Infractions of the Central Bank of Nigeria (CBN) has commenced investigation into the federal government's over 1 trillion naira unclaimed Nigeria's commercial banks. The hearing was declared open by the Speaker, Representative Femi Gbajabiamila, represented by his Deputy Representative Ahmed Idris Wasi.
I believe it is important, hoping and praying, what was mentioned, if it is true, it means then we have a lot to do. First, to expose the corruption aspect of it. Secondly, to come up with legislative interventions that will improve to have or to mitigate. My prayer at this junction is to charge my colleagues, my brothers, and my bosses to do their work with the fear of God, diligence, and commitment, and above all, with the fear of Almighty.
He then expressed optimism that the investigation would improve the financial system in the country. Chairman of the committee, Representative Onyime Idem, set the ball rolling.
Any money that, was disbursed or that was meant for federation accounts, if the contract has failed or the contract was not executed, the proper thing was for the money to be refunded to the same source that it came from. But unfortunately, whether it is out of oversight or deliberate or whatever reason, so much amount of money based on the recent discovery has been, tied down somewhere.
First of all, to point out that
Stakeholders invited to the hearing were officials of government agencies and ministries such as Ministry of Finance and National Budget Planning and Nigerian Maritime Administration and Safety Agency (NIMASA) and the Federal Inland Revenue Service alongside several others.
we believe there are still federal government funds in commercial banks, but we can't say specifically how much and where.
Earlier on, we worked with so many other banks to make sure that trust funds are transferred to CBN. There might be some other trust funds here and there. So during the investigation, we might, look at the commercial banks for such.
At the end of the session, the chairman, while appreciating the stakeholders for participating, expressed concerns that most officials sent in representatives. The committee is expected to continue with the investigation with other stakeholders.
This is where we draw the curtains on this episode of House Ticket. With elections round the corner, do you have your voter's card? It's your only ticket to participate in the election of your representatives. Until I come your way again, enjoy the rest of your day.